Please be advised, in this video there are spoilers related to the movie as well as Frank Herbert's book, Dune. Hello, my dear subscribers, and if you're new here, welcome. This is my spot where I like to watch, react, and review somewhat a small collection of stuff related to sci-fi, fantasy, and comic books. In today's video, I'm finally going to get around to sharing with you my 10 favorite things about Denis Villeneuve's Dune movie Part 1, and as well as my top 5 things that I hope to see in Dune Part 2, which has been announced by the time I've decided to finally record this video. And in case you're wondering why I waited so long, because there's so many review videos out already by, top channels and stuff like that. Mainly it's because I want to talk spoilers, not just about the movie, but also about the book. And I figure a week should be enough, right? A week and change. It should be enough for most of you, my audience, to go out and support the film by watching it in the theaters if possible, or watching it on your streaming service, or both, like I did, okay? So before I get the ball rolling, though, I do want to make certain things clear so that you have that in mind as you watch my visual presentation that I'm going to share with you in just a moment. The first thing I want to make very clear is that I'm not a professional movie critic, okay? I'm just a regular woman that loves to watch movies, and I have a taste for science fiction, fantasy, comic book related type media, okay? And so because I have a YouTube channel, this is where I like to express myself, as many private citizens do on this platform. So for some of you that are like, who are you to share your 2 cents? Well, who are you to ask? Because this is YouTube, people. This is where we share it to the best of our ability, as long as it's not, related to subject matters that YouTube doesn't like. Now, the second thing you should know, if it's not obvious based on my spoiler warning and what I've already expressed in my reaction to the official trailer, I'm a fan of the book series, primarily and only actually Frank Herbert's series. Here's my original copy of the book, read too many times. Here's my collection here of the series. I have the Ace series. All right, so for those of you that are super surprised that I'd be interested in Dune, I don't know why. I don't know if it's the hair, maybe I give off an airhead impression. I don't know. I don't care. Point is, I'm a fan of the books. And so the reason I'm making that very clear is that you understand from what perspective some of the stuff I'm going to mention in my presentation, you understand the perspective I'm coming from as a book reader, which is quite different from someone who doesn't know details from the books. And in this case, I'm just talking Dune book. I'm not going to talk about spoilers about the other books, okay? With all of that being said, it leads me to my final disclaimer or whatnot, and that is I am deliberately choosing to focus only on the positives when it comes to this movie. I really love this movie. I saw it twice in IMAX and very recently on my streaming service, and instead, I'm going to share with you 7 moments or scenes from the movie that I really enjoyed, and cap it off with 3 actor-related performance moments that really blew me away. So without further ado, here's my overall 10 things that I enjoyed and that left a strong impression on me from Dune Part 1 in the order to which the story was told. Number 1. Reverend Mother Mohiam's use of the voice on Paul and his instant pull towards her. This visual effect of the voice was not only cool as hell, but made me giddy to see how Denis Villeneuve will expand on it when Paul actively uses the voice in Dune Part 2. At number 2, the subtle and obvious foreshadowing of Paul Muad'Dib, starting with the holographic display of the cute little desert mouse, and then showing Paul actually seeing a real adorable, moisture-retentive desert mouse. At number 3, Paul's big, bright, full-on smile. With so much of the tone being so dark and Paul struggling with his internal conflict, It was just straight up nice to see him smile, even if it was for a few seconds. At number 4, Duncan, Idaho, fiercely intimidating a bunch of Harkonnen men to back off. Honestly, this scene is unforgettable for me, simply because someone in my audience actually shouted out, "Go get him, Drogo!" Which got me calling him Duncan Drogo from that point on. At number 5, the Baron Vladimir Harkonnen, using his immense girth to intimidate the traitor of the Atreides, Dr. Huey. I thought Stellan Skarsgård pulled off brilliantly, being menacing, all the while munching away like the glutton he is. At number 6, the interesting contrast between how Paul saw Chani in his dreams, where she looks like she's in a Maybelline commercial, versus how she is with him in reality, tough as nails and seemingly could give 2 F's about him. I thought that was an impressive way to showcase, as one out of few examples shown in the film, that what Paul sees in his mind's eye is not necessarily 100% what his naked eye will end up beholding. At number 7, the intricate foreshadowing of how powerful Paul will become once he drinks from the water of life. Showing Paul having a vision, out of many, of Janice killing him allowed him to instantly use the knowledge from that vision to easily defeat and sadly kill Janice in the present. This entire sequence of scenes demonstrated very well Paul's upcoming journey in balancing his learned skills as a mentat and his intuitive abilities as a male Bene Gesserit, aka the Kwisatz Haderach. Now I'm going to share with you my last 3 points related to the actor performance moment that stood out the most to me. At my number 1 spot, I gotta give it up to my girl Rebecca Ferguson as Lady Jessica. The scene that hooked me emotionally to her was when she was reciting the litany against fear mantra. It's such a powerful performance, showing her sheer terror and the horror at the possibility of Paul dying from the Reverend Mother's Gom Jabbar. Next up, Paul's sudden rage-filled outburst with the voice at his mama. It took my audience by surprise as there were audible gasps, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that had goosebumps while watching Timothée Chalamet act his ass off like the pro he is. And lastly, I have to say that Javier Bardem's introduction scene as Stilgar was impressive. The way he strolled into the Atreides palace with his distinct swag and grunted his acknowledgement captured my attention and endeared me to him for the rest of the movie. All in all, I'm very much aware that there are so many great scenes with fantastic, breathtaking cinematography. I mean, I think Denis Villeneuve has definitely set a precedent in that regard, right? And excellent performances by the entire cast, as well as very poignant imagery and symbolism, and so much more. So just because I haven't mentioned them, don't presume I'm not aware of them. And as I said before, there are so many review/breakdown videos that I believe highlight those points a lot better than I can in this video. Okay, now let me conclude this video by sharing with you my top 5 points from my wish list for Dune Part 2. It's a mix of what I hope to see in terms of casting, story narrative, and business decisions made behind the scenes. Number 1, I want to see Bill Skarsgård as Fade Rotha. I think it's perfect casting considering the fact that Fade is the Baron's nephew, and in real life, Bill Skarsgård is a great actor and the son of Stellan Skarsgård. If you've seen his work in Hemlock Grove, for example, then you know Bill can definitely play the sadistic and good-looking Fade. Despite Bill Skarsgård being in his early 30s right now, I still think he has the babyface quality that enables him to pull it off playing Fade. Number 2, in part 1 we briefly saw Paul's vision of baby Alia. And since Denis doing really good so far at being faithful to some aspects of the book, I hope he decides to show toddler-looking Alia the Strange One actually talk the way she does in the book. Hey, how I see it, if movie franchises like Boss Baby can attract an audience, I think adapting this part of Alia's development may not be as weird as you may think. And the third thing I hope they add in part 2 is the manipulation and poisoning of Tufir Hawat by the Baron. Not only is it a great way to show the layers of the Baron's devious cunning, it's one of the best dramatic parts of the book, especially the sacrifice Tufir makes for Paul. Number 4, I hope they include part 3 of the book about the death of Chani and Paul's firstborn, known as Leto II the Elder. Although the 2000 Dune miniseries touched on it, they omitted the fact it was Rabban who murdered their child. Rabban's heinous crime played a major part in fueling Paul's rage and desire for revenge, causing him to eventually become somewhat of a tyrant, which is far from the white savior some non-book reader mainstream critics have been accusing Paul of being. Which now leads me to the final thing I really wish for Dune Part 2, and that is Denis Villeneuve continuing to stand his ground, whether it be with Warner Brothers or some tiny, annoyingly loud Twitter mob, in adapting the rest of the book with the respect and honor Frank Herbert deserves. The book Dune has so many amazing lessons to teach us in today's world of things. And I believe some of Frank's warnings related to ecology, politics, and religion are very relevant to be explored in the second part of Denis Villeneuve's Dune. Voila, mes amis! There you have it. My main key takeaways from Dune Part 1 and my main hopes for Dune Part 2. So if you had watched my reaction to the official trailer, check it out somewhere above my finger here on the screen. I did express 2 main concerns, very mild concerns, although a handful of you really got triggered by it. But anyway, I expressed a couple of concerns, and I'll say this much for those of you wondering what I think about things now. Concern number 2, I will say went out the window. Thankfully, I was very relieved, but it went out the window like 75%. I still hold to 25% of it, okay? But the main concern I had, the first concern I brought up about a particular actor being overshadowed by another actor, it still stands for part 2, but not because of the actor himself and his talent and his ability as an actor. Not because of that. I'm convinced it's going to be forced onto part 2 based on Warner Brothers' current pattern in trying to check certain boxes whenever they want to produce a movie or a TV show. Honestly, that's as safe as I feel expressing on the subject matter. Overall, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please share with me in the comments what were aspects of the movie you really appreciated. What are your hopes and dreams for Dune Part 2? And if you flat out disagree with me with anything that I said in this video, instead of, expressing your disappointment in all caps, because it looks kind of foolish and immature, simply express it with courtesy and respect, because I feel I've done nothing in this video to deserve otherwise. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. And until my next reaction to something else related to sci-fi, fantasy, and or comic books, I'm Asha, tuning out. Peace. Thanks for watching. Check out my other videos and subscribe. You know you wanna.